Hello, and welcome to the Leap HR Solutions Group channel. Today is the first episode of my Listen and Learn series. Over the course of time, we will discuss numerous topics that I hope will be beneficial to you. I'm excited that you're here with me today. I've created this platform to share knowledge on career development, trending topics in HR, and advice for entrepreneurs trying to get their businesses off the ground. My name is Jason Washington, and I hope you will enjoy what I have in store for you. Let's get started. You ever wonder why you haven't received any callbacks from recruiters? Either you just don't qualify for the position, or your resume isn't powerful and enticing enough to catch the recruiter's eyes, even though you may be perfect for the job. So as a job hunter, what do? In the next few minutes, we will take a dive into building an effective resume. Today's agenda, we will cover the following: the why, types of resumes, building blocks of a good resume, your contact information, objective or summary, which one do you use, skills, education and professional experience, and the main thing is make sure that you proofread, and proofread again. Once you've done these things, then you're ready. A resume gives readers, like potential employers or even school search committees, a first impression of you. It describes your qualifications and explains who you are. It should be error-free, easy to read, and effectively provides a snapshot of how you spend your time. Data shows that recruiters look for the following on your resume: job experience, cultural fit, they look for cover letters, prestige of school you went to, and sometimes the GPA, as well as a well-tailored resume to the open job that you're applying to. Even if you don't plan to use the resume right away, organizing your experiences and listing your qualifications are useful steps to prepare for any future need. What is the purpose of a resume, you ask? The popular belief is that resumes land you jobs. Not true. The resume's sole purpose is to land you an interview. If employers like what they see in your resume, they'll contact you to schedule an interview. During the interview, they'll evaluate how well your skills match the job requirements and how well your personality fits with their team. Writing a resume is like exercising. You may not look forward to it, but you feel better once it's done. And like the results of a good workout, a well-presented resume can help you keep your career in shape. 30 seconds. That's typically about how long a recruiter will spend on your resume before deciding whether to put it in the yes or the no stack. Now that's a lot of pressure on one single piece of paper that basically determines if you're going to move forward in the job process. But if your resume is attractive, organized, and easy to read, 30 seconds is plenty of time to grab the reader's attention and inspire them to take a closer look. So there are basically three types of resumes that are most popular. There isn't a clear-cut best resume format, but modern recruiters and HR professionals have narrowed it down to these three standard resume styles. Your ideal choice depends on your education and your work history. Chronological, functional, and combination. Each resume format is designed to highlight different strengths like hard skills and professional experience, or weaknesses like employment gaps and termination. Here's an in-depth look at each, and you pick which one that suits you the best. Chronological. A chronological resume, or sometimes it can be referred to as reverse chronological resume, is the most standard resume format and places more emphasis on your relevant work experience, It lists your most current job at the top of your work history section, followed by your earlier experiences in chronological order. A chronological resume helps you 1. Show recruiters that your most recent work experience is relevant to their needs. 2. Applying to the job in your current field of industry. 3. Being able to present yourself in terms of promotion and upward career mobility. 4. Demonstrating that you have had a normal career without work gaps or termination. As you will see in the examples here, I have identified where and how you place your information in a chronological resume. Next is the functional resume. The functional resume will frame you in terms of your skills and ability, ones that must be relevant to the job that you're applying for. Unlike a chronological resume, the functional format ignores when and where you've learned those skills. You will simply list your most relevant skills at the top. This format allows you to showcase your key job skills and accomplishments. A functional resume helps you present your relevant skills and abilities, demonstrate your readiness to perform the job if you're planning on changing careers, and it removes focus from your work history in the event you have large work gaps that you want to cover up. And I'll let you take a look at the examples here. Next and last is the combination resume. A combination resume combines elements from the reverse chronological and functional formats. They typically follow this structure. You want to begin with a resume profile, resume summary, or summary of qualifications. And you want to lead with core skills section, just like a functional resume. And then end with a detailed work experience section, like a chronological resume. It seems like a dizzying amount of information to include, but that's the point. Combination resumes are ideal if you have an extensive skill set and a long career. They include ample information regarding the candidate's skill while detailing key pieces of work experience. If your skills and work are of equal importance to the job you target, this is a good resume format for you to use. A combination resume will help you market your professional skill set while also emphasizing your work history. Focuses on transferable skills if you're considering a career change, demonstrates your mastery of skills and duties you've gained during your long career. Next, we'll go over the building blocks of a good resume. Just a few things you want to keep in mind. First, you want to avoid repeating information. That you perform the same or similar job task for more than one employer. Instead of repeating job duties, focus on your accomplishment in each position. Eliminating irrelevant information and old experience. Avoid listing hobbies and personal information such as date of birth or marital status. Also, eliminate outdated technical or business skills. Employers are most interested in what you did recently. If you have a long career history, focus on the last 10 to 15 years. If your earlier career is important to your current goal, briefly mention the experience without including details. The length of the resume. The general rule of thumb is to keep your resume mainly to 1 or 2 pages. The length really depends on the amount of relevant information you have to present. If you've been in the workforce for only a short time, a 1-page resume will suffice. Only in extreme cases should a resume be longer than 2 full pages. You want to make sure you limit your work to the past 10 or 15 years unless earlier experience was highly relevant to the targeted position. Fonts. Fonts are important because you want to make sure that the reader is reading as if he was reading out of a book. The fonts that you should really look at in using are those time-tested typefaces, such as the Times New Roman, Arial, Georgia, Tahoma, Trebuchet, Verdana, and Courier New, to name a few. These offer that typewriter look and are much more appropriate to use. The type size on a resume will usually be anywhere from 10 to 12 font. And being able to spell check. You really have to make sure this is something that's tightened up. You want to send out a beautiful resume with an error. You don't want to send out a beautiful resume with an error on it, because it's almost like you go into an interview with spinach in your teeth. Nobody wants to see that. So please spell check, proofread, and have others reread your resume before sending it out. The next part is vital, but at the same time is not as looked at as the rest of the resume. The contact information. This is the main thing you want to have clean, neat, and accurate. The contact information is how a potential recruiter, hiring manager will be able to get in touch with you. You should always include your name, your address, phone number, and email. Here you have to make sure you present yourself professionally. Use an email address that's easy to read, relatively short, and avoids too many words or symbols unrelated to your name. The contact information portion of the resume should look like this, as we have the example. The objective or the summary. I get asked this question quite a bit. What should I lead up my resume off with? Well, I wanted to spend a little time with you on this today. So in my time reviewing resumes, I've seen so many objectives and summaries that are just plain bad. If they are properly written, they can be the hook that pulls the reader into your resume. You do need one or the other. It's much easier for a hiring manager to find that value in a short paragraph than to try to piece things together from a lengthy history of professional experience and education. Let's be clear. Most employers don't give a crap about what you want. It's all about the employer. What can you do for them? So you got to make sure that your statement is focused outward, showing the hiring managers what they stand to gain by hiring you. Pull out the most relevant highlights of your professional history and present them in a brief, high-impact statement. So the objective. The objective sets the tone for your entire resume. This career objective successfully makes the argument that you are the one that would succeed in the role. A general resume objective can be broken down into the following. The first sentence, you want to be able to mention the number of years of work experience in the chosen industry that you're going after for this position, and the type of duties you did in that role. Second sentence, you want to mention the qualities that make you a strong candidate for the specific job role. Ensure that they are relevant to the job that you're applying to. And third, you want to make sure that what kind of degree you hold and any relevant licenses or certificates you've earned are identified in that objective. As for a summary, summary is a broader overview of the skills and experience that makes you the best candidate for the job. This allows you to make a good impression from the first word of your application. These are 4 easy steps to create a good summary of your resume. Identify your top work skills. Pick examples of each skill in action. Find supporting data. Use the achievement that highlights your best attributes. Typically, objective or summary shouldn't be any more than about 50 words max. Your skills. Skills are very important. There are many different types of skills, and that's something we'll get into. But first, let's take a look at the position that you want to apply to. Typically, a job will mention the skills required for that position, as well as the other skills that the employer wants you to have. Your objective is to compile a list of your own skills that meet these requirements, as well as any specific technical skills you have that might boost your application. These skills are roughly divided into presentable, verifiable, actively applicable hard skills on one hand, and the inherent character and interpersonal soft skills on the other hand. Both categories ultimately make you the person or worker you are. As you can see in the slide, here are a few examples of both hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are specific, quantifiable knowledge or abilities, usually absolutely necessary for success. It can be demonstrated through tangible evidence such as your degree, a certificate, or any example of work. Just a couple of examples of hard skills. There may be like computer skills. You may work with a particular program. Your foreign language, you may be fluent in multiple different languages. Programs, those are what the hard skills are. Your soft skills, these are unquantifiable attributes that cannot be proven but must be demonstrated through work style and approach. Successful demonstration of soft skills is left to a subjective opinion. Communication are a few examples. Communication, leadership, teamwork, creativity. These are things you can't particularly learn from education. This is something that's within you that you use from examples and mentors and things you see and how you can better yourself in these areas. Those are your soft skills. The meat and potatoes. Actually, that was my dinner last night. The reason I put this next section as the meat and potatoes is because this is what really is going to stand out to a hiring manager. How that process normally goes is a recruiter will review a resume, like I said, within that first few 30 seconds, maybe even up to a minute at times. They'll go through and they'll look at different keywords, different principles of the resume that they're looking for from your experience. Once they pass that on to the hiring manager is ready to eat. It's like presenting the plate to him. So this is the area that you want to make sure that you kind of toot your own horn, but at the same time, make sure it's all verifiable. If you have any academic awards and or honors, consider including them in the education section. That's the first thing you want to make sure that you have well presented. If you're a few years into your career, your resume's education section can be minimized at the bottom of your resume, unless you're applying for a career that puts emphasis on education. Then it'd be beneficial to place above your work experience and include more details like relevant coursework, societies, organizations, extracurricular activities that strengthen your candidacy. This is more so for a recent grad, entry-level type worker, or person that's looking to enter the work. Most job seekers can get away with providing just the following information on their education. You want to list the name of the institution you went to, the degree program that you were a part of, the school location, and the years attended. Skills developed in a school are real skills that value the professional world. And sometimes schools hold weight. They hold quite a bit of weight. And you want to make sure you highlight that the best that you possibly can. The next section is your professional experience. Obviously, here's an example that I have. It kind of gives you what we're going to be discussing here. The skills section, or well, I'm sorry, the work experience, or professional experience, or employment history, however you want to name it. This is what differentiates you from other candidates. You want to be clear and to the point. This helps recruiters guide through your resume, as well as ensures accurately can be parsed through ATS systems. The first thing a recruiter looks at on your resume are the job titles you've held and the caliber of companies that you've worked for. Under each position subheading, you want to include responsibilities and measurable results that are relevant to the job for which you're applying. Remember, you don't need to include every duty that was a part of your day-to-day work. Just write 3 to 5 concise bullet points that demonstrate the skills and experience you develop working in that job. Think of it as like your mini commercial or an advertisement of your abilities. Every position you list you should be able to show that you're qualified for the specific job that you want. Again, just speaking from my experience, please, please, please do not go and copy the description duties or the duties from the job description. That tells a recruiter nothing. A recruiter already understands and knows the job that they're recruiting for, or the position that they're recruiting for. They want to find out, what did you do in those roles? How did you overcome things in those roles? That's what they're looking for. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind when you're listing those 3 to 5 concise bullet points. Make sure it's concise. Use strong words. Illustrate the specific concrete examples of what it is you did or accomplished in that position, and back those up with examples, which are like hard numbers. There's a saying in resume writing: duties tell, accomplishments sell. Using numbers, percentages, time, dollar amounts to quantify your accomplishments will help the recruiter or hiring manager visualize your potential impact. So there are some things that you can always put on a resume. You may put them on there, you may not. It's all up to you. And I call that just kind of the as needed section. Of course, if you're a recent grad or just beginning to enter into the working world, any internships that you took part in are good to add to your resume. When it comes to like volunteer work and affiliations, volunteer experience is a good way to add substance, but you want to make sure that the experience that you have for the volunteer work is reflective of what you may be doing in the job. Make sure that it's relevant. You highlight the volunteer work on your resume when it utilizes skills that are applicable to the job that you're applying to. Be careful listing volunteer organizations or affiliations that could be polarizing, though, such as like political or religious entities. Your GPA. There are a few exceptions on this one. Unless you're applying to a role that is going to be looking for, let's just give an example. Unless you're preparing for something like in engineering or academia, you can put your resume on there. But when you're applying for most jobs, a GPA is not required to go on the resume. If you do happen to put your GPA on the resume, you make sure that it's a 3.5 or better. If there's anything lower than that, just leave it off. References. It is assumed that you have references, so there's no need to include those on your resume. This was something I actually learned about 6 years ago myself. Uh, Take that references available upon request off. Please, please, please. Only unless the job description specifically asks for your references on it, which not too many of them do. Proofread, proofread, proofread again. As I stated in the beginning, this is probably one of the most important parts before you can say that your resume is complete. You always want to check your grammar for complete sentences and phrases and proper punctuation. A single typographical or grammatical error can prevent you from getting an interview, and spell check does not always find every mistake. Make sure you look for strong action verbs when you're writing your resume and clear descriptions that stand out. Every word counts, so if there are places where you can pick a more appropriate phrase or use fewer words to say the same thing, choose a more precise word or concise phrasing. When you finish proofreading your resume, be sure and run spell check. Run it twice. But most of all, share it with somebody else. Ask for their comments and feedback. They may be able to catch errors or unclear phrasing that you did not notice. This is the most important part of your resume prior to putting it out or applying to a job. Now you're ready. You have the tools to create a professional resume now for any kind of job or experience. You can choose the appropriate template, format, and wording to make your accomplishments stand out and give yourself a better chance of being selected for an interview. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Your time is very much appreciated. And if you're interested in learning more about this subject or have any questions, feel free to post a comment in the section below. I will answer all questions and respond to any comments within 24 hours. I want to thank you again for watching and listening to the first episode of the Listen and Learn series. Be sure and click on the like button below and subscribe to this channel for all the upcoming great material we have in store for you. Be encouraged. Thank you.